Hey everybody, it's Tommy. This is my fourth video about my little battle with cancer. January and February of 2024 were the hardest months. I got worse before I got better. I lost down to 146 pounds, laid in bed all the time. My back was just crazy. I couldn't get comfortable. I had no idea that I had a fractured rib. And when you're in a situation like this, you start looking for what you can do, because you're not able to do what you could do. So one thing I could do was watch cooking shows and Family Feud. So now we have a little bit of PTSD if Family Feud or Chopped comes on, and Steph never liked it in the first place. I would sit in bed and open our laptop to try to pay bills or something, and I'd fall asleep, and Steph would come in and be like, "What bills do we need to pay?" And I'd open my laptop back up, and then I'd fall asleep. It was a fun little game we played. Eventually I set up a folding table in my bedroom so that I'd have kind of a desk. I could just walk 6 feet over there and work for a couple hours to try to stay on top of things. Had a few friends come out and take me to lunch, and I know it really kind of rattled them to see me struggling to get out of the house on crutches the way I was, but they took me out. It was good just to get out and hang out with them and try some different food. When you go through something like this, eventually you're going to be laying there in bed and in the dark and just wondering what the next month or two holds. You know, is this the end? You know? But I knew I wasn't done. One thing I continued to pray was, you know, God, I'm looking forward to who you're going to turn me into through this process. I had a similar experience with my daughter, my youngest daughter, going through all the heart surgeries and stuff that she did 20 years ago, 17 to 20 years ago, depending on the surgery. And that was an event in our lives that we had to buckle down and stand in the gap and pray and believe. And that period of our lives, I knew, was making us into an even stronger unit, stronger family. Selma says we're trauma bonded. As I mentioned earlier, I had a fractured rib and I didn't know it. Well, I didn't know I could read my medical report from the CT scans and stuff through the portal. I just didn't know, because I never dealt with this kind of stuff for me. And after struggling for a month or two, buying different pillows to try to make myself be able to sit up in bed or even just sleep good, I read the report finally and realized I had a fractured rib that none of the doctors mentioned, which I thought was just awesome. And if I had known that, I mean, it wouldn't mean it wouldn't hurt, but at least I know what was wrong. But we think that came from one or two places. Either that magnificent sneeze I had that made my hip hurt worse, or potentially a 3 a.m. fall I had when everybody was asleep and I tripped over my own crutches and I went down hard on my left side. Either one of those cases could have done it. I don't remember when all the pain started at this point. I'll end with this little story, I guess. One night I got the chills really bad, similar to how I had that reaction in the second infusion that I did, where I had the bad reaction and got chills. And Steph was putting blankets over me and kind of laying across me, trying to get me warm. We can laugh about it now, but at the time, Steph went to get me a sweatshirt to help me stay warm. And you know, my brain wasn't completely working right, and she went and got me a brand new sweatshirt from Christmas that I think maybe even still had the tags on it. And I hurt her feelings, because I was like, why would you get me that sweatshirt? You know, I was dumb. I was an idiot. I should have just been thankful that she cared at all and that she loved me and got me through all this. But instead I complained about which sweatshirt she got me, because it wasn't one that I had grown accustomed to, I guess. And that hurt her feelings, and I had to apologize. And like I said, now we can laugh about it. That's it for today. In the next video, my little teaser, I had a weird eye issue that seemed like I was seeing into a parallel universe. We'll talk soon.